Looking for trouble.
Oh, yes, sir. Good to see you. Go Phillips there. The final order 5-7. Got Kennedy back to top of the war 24-8. Just glad to bring you the hottest thing in the country. Real hot and blue. Coming to WHBQ in Memphis, Tennessee.
Welcome to House Call with Dr. Sean McCaffrey on Sports Radio 1450. Dr. McCaffrey is taking your calls, 529-1450. Now, this week's House Call with Dr. Sean McCaffrey on Sports Radio 1450 and sportsradio1450.com.
All right, good morning. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. We are live this morning. 1450 WFMB. I am out of the area. Dr. Radloff, you're there in studio this morning, correct?
Yes. You sound so lively this morning, too.
You know, I'll tell you, I'm sitting in a hotel lobby, and I was thinking, how loud do I really want to be here?
Maybe you'll get an audience there, though.
You know, I think I will. I think it's a definite possibility. There's some kind of, like a softball tournament or something going on. I've watched 3 or 4 teams walk by here already this morning. So I'm just kind of hanging out here doing my thing.
How's the weather out there?
You know, it's very nice. What's the weather like back there?
It's snowing. No, I'm just kidding.
It wouldn't surprise me, though, man. It would not surprise me at all. That'd be fantastic.
No, it's a great day. Great
day. It was like 82 here yesterday. I think it's supposed to be in the low to mid 80s here today. You know, it's surprising. I'm in Boise, Idaho, is where I'm at this week, and I know all of you are out there thinking, man, let's take a vacation, let's go to Boise. But it's an interesting place. You know, the weather here is really quite nice, and it's surprising how warm it gets. I was expecting it to be very cold when I came out here several months ago, and it was not. It was probably 20 degrees warmer than what we were there, and it's kind of surprising. But it's a high desert type area. Idaho, of course, we all know is known for potatoes, and I think Chick-fil-A restaurants. I've seen one on about every corner I've driven by.
Hey, aren't we getting one here pretty soon?
You know, we are, and I'll tell you, if they're any indication like they are out here, they're very nice.
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised. For a fast food restaurant, they are very nice. The ones I've noticed out here are unbelievably nice for a fast food restaurant.
They're delicious, too.
You know, they are delicious. I'll go with you on that. They definitely are not too bad. But it's interesting. You know, it's an interesting place. I like Boise. It's a very unique place. I've kind of come accustomed to it. I've been out here a lot in the last 6 months to a year. Traveling. I've got a good friend out here. She and I are doing some work together. She's mentoring me to advance my career a little further forward. Dr. Radloff, of course, is reaping the benefits of that, which is a great thing. So,
yes.
You know, it's one of these things that we do. I'm always trying to better what it is that we do in our practice, and it's all about results. You know, everything is results-based. We're looking at trying to help people with things. You know, in our practice, this is difficult for me. I've always had a difficult time of doing this. You know, we run commercials, and some of them I hate, and they drive me nuts. And we don't really do a whole lot with them. We don't have a huge advertising budget in our practice. Most of our work is word of mouth off of our results and our successes that we do. And, it's interesting that people ask us, well, what do you do? You know, what is it that you do? And I thought, today we could spend a little bit of time kind of, Doc, talking about what it is that we do.
Yeah.
Because it's challenging for people to understand it. My base degree is in chiropractic, as is yours. I have a licensure in acupuncture. I have a license in internal health, which is my postdoctorate license. I've been doing this for, 17 years or so. My family, as far as chiropractic goes, has been involved with it for over 100 years. My grandfather was very good friends with the gentleman who invented the profession. So I've had it in my family for a very long time, and my spin on the profession is very different than, people who are, learned at Logan College or Palmer or some of those places that are around where you get your degrees. It's very different than those because what they teach today is a shell of what was once taught.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my interpretation of it. And so what we do in practice is so unique and so different.
Well, I think the thing, too, with it is that there's so many different things we can pull in and tie together, whereas, maybe one office does that one specific thing only, then we kind of create our own, it's like an art, you're creating your own base and how you want to treat people and how you want to help them. we kind of mishmash all that stuff together, so it's not just one little thing that we do. There's a bunch.
Yeah, that's a great analogy too, because it is that. It is an art. And I think that you and I are truly creating when we're in practice versus just cookbooking it.
Yeah.
You're not saying, oh gosh, you got a thyroid problem. Let me flip up my book here. What does it say to do for thyroid? Oh, we have to do this.
Well, and it's not just, with conditions like that, it's not there's no cookbook out there. What works for someone might be totally opposite for someone else. And that's why, you strive to learn and I strive to learn too, as much as you can, because you can't get stagnant,
No, absolutely. And it's so great that you brought that up, because, that's what really makes the difference between what we do. And I was thinking about this, and I've always wondered, how do you tell people what it is that you do? And I think the best way to put this, if you have something wrong with you that's not going away, and you've been to 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 other doctors, and they're telling you, oh, it's autoimmune, it's incurable, you can't do this, you can't do that, we're probably the office you should be in, because that's what we do. We deal in the things that nobody else wants to. We deal in the things that nobody else has had success with. And it's about restoring normal body function. It's about putting the body back together the way it used to run, reloading programs, re-educating it, reteaching it. Now, whether that's digestive work, it's in musculoskeletal work, neurologic work, it doesn't really matter, because we do all of it across the board. And that's really what separates us, I think, from everybody else out there, is that we have such a broad base, and our success rates are phenomenal. And they're only getting better. That's the best part about it. As we work harder, we learn more, we strive to achieve more, they just get better. But we're based in traditional Chinese medicine. We're based in Ayurvedic medicine. We're based in classic chiropractic type work, not what's taught today. Our acupuncture background, our nutrition background, the things that we do really, really give us a unique perspective on just about every condition you can imagine. And if you just think about it from this standpoint, that, okay, what are we trying to do? We're looking for the stresses that are affecting the body, whether it's mechanical things, emotional things, or nutritional ones. You're trying to alleviate those stresses, and you're trying to say, okay, well, how does the body adapt to this? What's it doing? What has it done to get itself in trouble? How do we unwind that and re-educate it to get back to normal again? And that doesn't matter if it's my hip hurts, my knee hurts, I've got heartburn, reflux, I have a thyroid condition, high blood pressure, cholesterol imbalance. All of that falls under that umbrella of just restoring normal function.
Right.
We don't chase the disease as much as we try to restore normal.
Correct. And one thing, I kind of want people to realize too out there is the longer they've had a certain condition, that unwinding process takes some time. Don't expect, to come in a few times and all of a sudden, you're back to normal. It'll take a while to unwind that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the acute stuff's fun, right?
Yes.
That's the easy
stuff. Yeah.
You
like to see more acute?
We need a day of just that. Basically, it's acute Thursday, and we'll just do acute problems only, because those are cakewalk. I mean, there's nothing to those. Those are easy. It's, hey, I fell down, I hurt myself, or hey, I got my back bothering my neck, or my elbow, my shoulder. Those are simple. The hard ones are the things that you've had for a decade.
Yeah, the body hasn't had that time to adapt to them and compensate, and then now you're in a whole world of hurt.
You got it. Okay, well, guys, we join you every Saturday morning. Doc and I are here. Robert's on the board holding things down for us. We are called House Call. We have a phone number. It's 529-1450. We are a call-in talk show. If you have any questions that are health-related, this or that, feel free. If you need financial advice, Dustin can wing it. Or we'll send you back to Bill's.
I don't know about that one with all the school debt that I have. So
I'll tell you something funny. When we get to our current events, or we'll take a break in just a second. But when we get to our current events, we'll talk about that debt and financial advice, and it'll be fun. It'll be something I think you'll enjoy. All right, guys. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. Listen to House Call here. We'll be back in just a moment.
Oh, hell, the little things you say and do make me want to be with you. Rain on, it's a crazy feeling, and I know it's got me reeling when you say I love you.
All right, guys, welcome back here to House Call. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. Again, our phone number here is 529-1450, 529-1450. Doc, let's see what's happening in the headlines around the globe. All right, guys, here's what we got this week going on here. Big Pharma You're going to love this one. This goes with what you and I were talking about a minute ago. I was talking to Bill Peterman the other day. We were in his office. We were chit-chatting, and it was interesting that he was discussing, return on investment. What are you getting on your return on your investment? And, he said you get someone that's going to guarantee you 8.25% right now, and with the way things are going, he goes, that's phenomenal. And I'm thinking 8.25%. Okay, that's because I have a student loan. That's 8.25% interest. And so we're going through that, and he was discussing it with me. And so I'm looking at that thinking, okay, 8.25% is a big deal in the investing world, right? Listen to this. This is fantastic. It comes out of the Wall Street Journal this week. Big Pharma. Apparently what's happening is that the large pharmaceutical companies that are manufacturing products, they're selling their product before it ever hits the street to a secondary pharmaceutical company, a smaller one, who then in turn sells it on the street or at your pharmacies and things like that. The problem is they mark it up before they do it.
Wow.
So you'll get like AstraZeneca was one of the companies that was being brought out on the carpet here for a painkiller that they make. It's called Vimo is the painkiller. It's sold to a secondary company called Horizon Pharma, who I'm sure is owned by one of the larger ones. The first day on the market in 2014, the product went up 597%.
Wow. Yeah, that's
597%. It never even hit the market yet. So what these little companies do, they go into the big ones. And they say, okay, we want to buy everything you make. And we're in turn going to sell that to CVS and Walgreens and all these places, which are all these co-ops that are trying to buy this stuff. They're trying to buy large amounts of it to save money. Can't happen because you got a middleman in there now saying, oh, we're going to rape this and reap all the profits off of it. That was in 2014. In 2015, January, it went up another 75%. So this stuff's up a total of 650, almost 675% over its original manufactured price. And you look at that and you start thinking, are you kidding me? So the Wall Street Journal did an investigation of this and found out that all of the major manufactured drugs that are out there are going through secondary houses like this. And since 2008, on average, is 127% increase in profit on all of them. We're in the wrong line of work.
Yeah, that's why the big pharma rules basically the whole medical world.
Oh my gosh!
You can't with that kind of money. You just can't.
Yeah. No, you can't compete. And you look at that, and I thought about Bill and I talking, and Bill sitting there saying, "No man, if you can get 8.25% right now, that's fantastic. In the short term, for guaranteed percentage, and these guys are guaranteed. Well, from the looks of it, at least 127%.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That'd be fantastic. I'll invest tomorrow. But it just shows you how, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because we look at, say, okay, the new healthcare system, and the idea was that, okay, we're going to get bigger buying power because we're putting so many people under one umbrella that you got a little bit of a push, you don't. They found ways around it. So like, oh, sure, we'll do it, but we're going to sell it to a middleman first, who's then going to in turn sell it to you, and you have no ability to go to the main parent contractor and buy the stuff because it's all already bought up by somebody else. And I'm sure if you start digging, these secondary companies are probably owned by people that are tied to the primary companies.
Oh, sure.
And that's just a guess, and it's my assumption, of course, in my opinion. But I'm guessing it's similar to that. But, it's funny when you look at that. And it reminded me, I had a nice talk with a lady yesterday in Dr. Kennedy's office. She's from California, and she'd flown in to be treated. And we were talking and chit-chatting. We were discussing a few things, and it came up that, the amount of money that is spent lobbying by the pharmaceutical industry every year is astounding. They spend a little over $2 billion a year lobbying. Now, when you look at that and you think, okay, what's that compared to? If you ever see anything from Anheuser-Busch, okay, all of their beer commercials, all of Coke commercials, all of Pepsi's Pepsi commercials, there's more money spent lobbying Congress for drug use and this and that than there is on the entire product line of those three companies in a year combined. And you look at those sort of things, you start thinking, gosh, they're trying to sell you a product. These other guys aren't even selling you anything. They're just trying to influence somebody to get what they want. And it's scary when you think about that because you start thinking, okay, where does the what am I looking for here? The humanity of it, I guess, is probably the word. At what point do you sit there and say, okay, are we truly doing this for the right reasons, or the wrong reasons.
Well, go ahead. Sorry, Doc.
No, go ahead, bud.
Well, even look at, the commercials nowadays on TV. You have like a 30-second to a minute commercial where half of the whole commercial is side effects for a certain medication.
Sure.
You start looking at some of that stuff and it's like,
and that's, people wonder how we're able to do what we're able to do and why we're successful in practice and things like that. It's because of that industry. I mean, you've got a whole, it's interesting. If you look at medicine, and Dr. Loomis, one of my mentors, got me doing this years ago. He buys old medical textbooks. And so I started, it's a cool habit. I'll start picking up on that. And he said, never buy anything after 1950. He said, you want 1950 and back. Because those books, doctors at that time were still very, they observed. They observed what you look like. They observed your physical presentation to them and how you sounded when you talked in your interview. They observed more so than they do today. Tests today, all of it, and I'm not saying that's wrong. All the tests and things that we have, they have some really cool things out there. Some of the blood work, the CAT scans, the MRIs, all the machine-based tests. But there was something about observation that you could tell what was going on with someone just by looking at them. You could tell little gives and takes that would happen with someone and what was going on. A great example of this, let's look at thyroid function. If you want to know if a thyroid's in trouble, all you have to do is watch somebody walk. Look and see if their hands are turned in or if they're laying alongside them. If their hands are rotated forward, more like you would see in an ape or a chimpanzee, there's a very good chance there's a thyroid problem going on there. And it's all because of how the body's hardwired. And so you can observe somebody just simply by doing that. Well, we've kind of lost that ability. And as you lose that ability and you lose that I guess, observational data by looking at someone, as you lose that, you become more and more and more reliant on, okay, well, we don't have that anymore. Now we have to use this test. And as you get more and more down that road where you're having to use machines and things like that to test different things of that nature, and I'm not saying those are bad, but as you start using more and more and more of those, you're more easily influenced by different companies, the drug industry, things like that, to say, well, this is the only way to treat stuff now. This old stuff, none of that worked. That's no good. This is better. And, I understand it has its purpose and its place, and there's definitely needs for it at times. But we kind of get away from, hey, look, the body's telling you stuff. If you pay attention to it before it breaks, before it goes down that road of no return, you can prevent a lot of things.
Well, sorry, Doc, I keep interrupting here. It's hard.
No, but it's okay. We're not in the same room.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And that's kind of why I switched and have moved out here and all that stuff too. I was in the pharmacy world for about 5 years, and you see a bunch of different things. I would see patients on 10, 15 different meds where they had to be on those meds because of the side effects, and for one of the meds they had to be on, and all the side effects, and it's like, hey, put you on this drug for that side effect, and it was just like, it's not a road that I want to go down, or that I would feel comfortable talking with patients about. So,
Yeah, and I agree with you. And it's interesting. This is something that was brought up to me by another friend of mine. We were discussing at one time just how drugs interact. And if you look at any medication, it doesn't matter what it is, it's going to have a multiple number of ingredients in it. It may say it has 10, hypothetically. Well, if you add a second medication to that, and this is where we get kind of confused. We say, well, if we take a blood pressure med and we put a diuretic with it, there's no big deal. Well, you're taking one thing with 10 ingredients, and you're combining it with something else with 10 more ingredients. And so now you have 20 different chemicals interacting and intermixing. If you add a third, a fourth, a fifth in there, you can pick up 50, 100, maybe 150 new chemicals that are all interacting together. And nobody knows what those do. That's why you have the list of side effects that you have with medications. And what's interesting is that the side effect list that you have, that's for the one med. That's not when you mix it with something else. That's just for the one. So when you mix it with something else that also has its list of 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 things, now you can end up with a whole host of unknowns. And so we're not preaching, hey, don't do medications. I'm not against that. I don't mind them, and I like that we have tried to improve things. That's fine. The goal of this, though, is to say, gosh, if I have to do a medication, and I have several doctors there in town that I'm very good friends with, and I totally agree with the way they practice. It's acute care and trauma. If you have to do something, gosh, you've got a really bad blood pressure problem. Maybe you have a heart condition, or you've got chronic pain or arthritis or something. I understand you're doing stuff to help control that. But once you figure that, okay, the medication is like a fire truck on a fire. You put the truck on it. You try to control the fire. But at some point, you've got to try to put it out. Otherwise, the fire just keeps burning. Maybe it burns a little slower than it once did, but the point is it's still burning. And so you look at that from that nature and you think, okay, I want to put this out. How do I go about doing that? That's what we do. We say, okay, we know you have these problems. We know you have these issues. You're taking medications to help it. But our goal then from that point forward is to say, okay, let's first control the problem that you have. Because a lot of times people that are on different meds for diabetes, for heart problems, for blood pressure, cholesterol, it doesn't fix it. It slows it down sometimes, or it slows it down temporarily. A year later, now they're taking more and more and more meds to try and control it because they're never really getting at the root cause. So the first goal is to say, okay, let's slow it down. Let's get it stopped. The second one then is to say, okay, can we decrease the need for the fire trucks? Can we somehow say we don't need as much? And the third and ultimate goal is, hey, can we cure this problem? Can we get rid of it when we don't need any help or any support? That's what we do. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, it's Saturday night and I just got paid. Fool about my money, don't try to save. My heart say go, go. Have a time called Saturday night. Now I'm feeling fine. I'm gonna rock it up. I'm gonna rip it up. I'm gonna shake it up. Gonna ball it up. I'm gonna rock it up and ball tonight.
All right, guys, welcome back here to House Call. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. You're listening to us live here on Sports Radio 1450 WFNB. Our phone number is 529-1450. I want to thank our sponsors real quick, Apple Barn, Belterra Farms, Gracie Baja, and the Body Quest store over on Montvale. We'll hook up with Gail here in just a minute when we get a chance here. Let's take a call out. Caller, good morning. You're on House Call. What can I do for you? Robert,
Hello?
Are you with me, big guy?
Hello?
We have a caller. Caller, good morning.
Yes, is me?
Yes, it's you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, I love the music. Here, I got 3 quick questions for you, Dr. McCaffrey.
All right, go ahead.
Number one, where are you buying your Scotties since the place out, shop, Tractor Supply is not, they don't carry them anymore, and I love them.
Okay.
Yeah, I've looked every place in town. Nobody's got them.
Okay.
So that's the number one question. Number two is most important. I want to know, I've got a problem with some arthritis on my wrists. I got bumps on, where your the wrist bone is on the opposite side coming down from your thumb, and I really have a lot of trouble moving them. And I've been to the doctor, and they say they want to operate and take out a bone, and that gives more room, I guess, for it to move around. Not always successful, so I'm a little leery of that. I want to know, does acupuncture, can you do something with acupuncture for that? And then the third thing on the same line of thought, one of your patients gave me a product called Traumeel, Traumeel, and I've used that, and it seemingly gives a little relief, and I wonder, how does that work?
Okay, I'll go through all that for you.
Okay, I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for your call, bud. As far as the Scotties go, if you happen to have a bag left with them, look for the manufacturer on the bag. The best thing you can do is go online, go to Amazon.com or something of that nature, maybe even eBay. You'll find the manufacturer there. A lot of times you can buy those things in bulk, and they'll deliver them directly to you, so you can buy 20, 30 bags of the stuff. It's a black licorice candy that's made. Tractor Supply carried it for a little while. I think it's probably an intermittent thing. They get an idea to buy it, and then they carry it, and then it disappears for a while. Black licorice has all kinds of great benefits for the body, and that particular candy is very high in it. So I understand your desire for that. But I would go online. I would look at the manufacturer of that particular, who makes it, and they'll tell you that they'll have a product website. You probably can get it on Amazon for, I would guess, a reduced rate and probably in bulk. So that'd be the first thing I would do there. The second thing, when you're looking at arthritis of any kind, arthritis is joint inflammation. Now, without getting into the nuts and bolts of it too much, it's always a gastrointestinal problem. You won't see many arthritic cases that are not, unless you had a severe trauma to the wrist. So if you fractured the wrist, if you broke the wrist, if you did something of that nature, then that will accelerate the process. But even that has a very strong digestive nutritional component to it. It's usually involving protein and how the body breaks that food source down and then utilizes it. If you don't digest protein well, if you don't utilize it well when you do, you end up creating waste products that circulate through your fluid in your body, and it picks on weak areas. In your case, you're looking at the base of the thumb. Yes, acupuncture would be extremely effective in helping with the pain and getting that to come out of there. If there is a large bony change, it's like frying an egg. Once the egg is fried, putting it back in the shell is not so easy to do. So in that case, I don't know that you'll get rid of that large bony change that's occurring at the base of the thumb there. But you could definitely get the pain to decrease dramatically. How long would it take to notice it? 2-3 times. I would say in a couple, 2-3 visits, you would know right away. You'd see a 50% reduction in your pain. If you notice any change at all, you can get at it. And that's exactly how I would do it. There's several other things you can do that are Ayurvedic or traditional Chinese medicine based that we do for that sort of thing. One of my mentors often said that if it's just soft tissue damage in there, that you can actually get that to reverse. So if it has not completely solidified and calcified, you can get it to reverse. Now, as far as removing a bone out of the wrist, I would look at it from this standpoint and say, okay, why did nature give you 8 carpal bones? Why are there 8 bones in that wrist? Because he didn't want 7 in there. He wanted 8. And so you look at that and start thinking, all right, does it make a lot of sense to go pulling that out of there? That's a real issue. And I get it. If you're so miserable and you have so much pain and discomfort, now you have to kind of say, all right, what's better? Is it better to have a chronic, unchecked, inflammatory condition in the body, or are you better pulling a bone out that was meant to be there? And I understand that theory, and I understand why they would do what they do. They're going to say, look, the inflammation that's being caused by that unchecked will eventually lead to more problems than having the bone removed. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I would do everything I possibly could to try and alleviate the discomfort, control the inflammation, and restore normal function before I would ever pull a bone out. So digestive work, acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine work, all of that will be successful with this, and you have to do it all. Dr. Radloff, and I both specialize in a muscle-type work that we do in our practice that nobody else does around here. And the muscular work that we do is going to go through that wrist and say, okay, well, why would you get that? Why, what's going on there? There's a lot of different muscles that attach at the base of the thumb. And if you aggravate those and they inflame, they will lead to arthritic change. So you have to look at the forearm muscles then and also make sure that they're functioning properly. If they're not, you're going to struggle and you're going to have problems. So those are great, great questions. The last one is the Traumeel. Traumeel's a nice little product. We have another one, Topricin, that we use in our office as well. They're homeopathic anti-inflammatories. So they're taking different plants and different herbs, and they're saying, okay, if we take the plant or the herb, a lot of these have anti-inflammatory properties. So instead of using some type of I'm thinking of an aspirin-based type cream, you'll see like Icy Hot and all these things. We're just taking the homeopathic, and we're saying, look, this stuff gets rid of inflammation. It gets rid of swelling. It speeds up healing. It helps the body to repair a certain spot. That's what that product does. I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's a little pricey versus some of the other ones. And, Doc, we've both been playing with a new one that Dr. Kennedy introduced me to. It's about half the cost.
Yeah, and I think it works just as good. Yeah, or if not better.
I agree. It seems to work as well, if not better, and it's half the price. So if we can get into something like that, that's even better. But the same thing, it's also a homeopathic variety. And so when you start playing with plants that people have been using for centuries, they're effective. They work well. They do great, great things for people. That's why it works. And what I like about both of the homeopathic ones that we use, neither one of them has a smell. Neither one of them burns. Neither one of them stings. Neither one of them's cold or extremely hot. You put it on and you just start getting relief. Now, why is it not curing your problem? Because you're not getting rid of your cause. You're putting an anti-inflammatory on something. It's like having a brick on your hand and taking an aspirin to control the pain. Until you take the brick off, it's still going to hurt. It'll help temporarily until it wears off. So your goal would be to try and fix that initial thing. And once you get that fixed, then those creams and things are highly effective at helping and heal. So that's great, great questions. I appreciate them all. I hope that helps you a bunch with what you had to ask. Again, guys, our phone number here is 529-1450. Do we have Gail on, bud?
We do.
Excellent. Gail, good morning. How are you? Are you with us?
I am.
Excellent. Good morning. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm doing good.
Fantastic. So what do you got going on out the apple?
You know what? Well, we're busy, but you know what? I love hearing your voice first thing on a Saturday morning. I do.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're so chipper. I love it. Well, we're busy. We got flowers everywhere out here today. We are so ready for spring. And I'm thinking this cold weather's over, and it is so time to be in the yard working now. So we're very pretty. We got flowers everywhere. I got annuals, perennials. Our pots are awesome, and it's a gorgeous day. What more do you need, huh?
No, that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. You know, and guys, if you've never been to the Apple Barn, I absolutely love the Apple Barn. It is such a neat place to be. You've got planters, you've got plants and flowers, and you know, and on top of that, it's not just having this stuff. You're going to tell them how to use it, where to plant it, how to best, you know, how to help it grow.
Yeah.
I know my wife relies on you quite heavily.
But we're good at it. You do what you do, and you're good at it. We're good at this, and we've got a big mouth, kind of just like you. So we're very vocal about, oh, you can't do that, or this isn't going to work, or let's do it this way instead. So yeah, we're all about helping out here.
No, and it's a great thing, you know, because there's so many times, you know, people will buy plants and this and that. That's one of the big knocks I've kind of always had against the big chains. Oh, you can go buy stuff there, and it doesn't look that great. Because then once you get it, what do you do with it? And if you don't have a real green thumb, you're kind of on your own. And like with you guys are so great about just, I just want to stop in. Hey, how do I do this? Because Rebecca did it last year. You know, she'd stop in and say, hey, Gail, how do I do this? You'd be like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And all of a sudden we've got this great-looking floral display on our back porch, and it's fantastic.
Yep. Well, and, you know, these are our kids. I raised them. I know them. I know what I'm doing, and I love to share it. So I got meat. Sally made sure I'm stocked with meat, and the bakery's going good. So with Mother's Day coming, I think we're going to be a one-stop shop out here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Gail, how do they get to you if they want to come visit you today?
I'm in Chatham, and I'm between I-55 and Route 4 on Walnut Street. We're open every day from 7 in the morning till 6 at night, and our phone is 483-6236.
Absolutely fantastic. Hon, thank you very much. You have a great weekend. I hope you get to see everybody that listens to us. It's a great time to get out there, guys, if you get a chance. The Apple Barn is a wonderful, wonderful place. We appreciate you very much and all that you do for us.
You're welcome. You have fun in Idaho.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so let's see what else we got here. Doc, what else we got going on in the news this week? Did you find anything?
Well, one thing, we had a patient that wanted to know about what you thought. What happens when we yo-yo back up and forth in weight? So when we go back, we go up, we lose 20 pounds, we gain 25 back, we lose. They want to know kind of the health effects of what's going on with that.
You know, it's really hard on the body, and that's the thing. Think of it this way, and this is how I deal with every patient that I see. Your body has levels of organization. So when you start out in life, you're at the most primitive, lower level possible at conception. And as you start to develop, your organs start to form, and your body reorganizes and moves up to a higher level of function. It keeps doing this throughout your life until it reaches what it considers this elite peak. Now, that's as long as you don't do anything to hamper it. And so what happens is your body requires nutrients. It requires energy. There's things that have to be put into it in order for it to maintain that high level of function. If for any reason it is lacking the nutrients, say there's 10 levels, and level 10 is the elite of the elite. If your body's, look, I don't have enough resources to maintain level 10, it will fall back a level. And they'll say, well, we're going to drop back down to 9 because it doesn't need as many resources. The problem is when it drops back down, now it opens itself up for problems. And if you don't stock the resources, it doesn't get what it needs, it'll fall another level into 8, into 7, into 6, and you'll start seeing degeneration and change and symptoms, and that's where disease really starts getting a foothold. It's no different with weight loss. You don't want a yo-yo diet. It's one of the worst things you can do for the body because it's hard on it. You don't realize that if I'm gaining 25 and dropping 25 and gaining 20, that's very, very difficult on the body. And I know, Doc, when you and I do weight loss, you know, the gallbladder gets pushed extremely hard by yo-yo dieting. The liver gets pushed extremely hard. The lungs, the bowel, not to mention all the musculoskeletal changes, your skin, your muscles, your joints. Everybody gets pushed hard. So what you and I focus on, and I think this is what separates our weight loss from everybody else, is that we really, really focus on the after you lose it.
Yep.
It's easy to lose weight. It's what do you do after you lose it? How do you control things afterward? And that's really what, like, in our weight loss program, it's what makes us so unique. There's nobody else around that's doing what we do.
Yep. And I think along the way, too, we educate patients enough that once they're away from us, they know how to control it. They know how to keep it down. They know how to, all right, I'm up a few pounds. Let's get this back down so I don't go up 25 pounds.
Yeah. And then it's a matter of personal choice. You know, I mean, we'll teach you what to do.
Yep.
And we'll show you exactly what to do, and it's 100% guaranteed success if you follow it. But if you go back to your old habits and your old routine, and you kind of stop doing some of the things that we teach you, like, we're not going to do that anymore. I don't need to do it every day. I'll do it once a week. As you start returning back to those old habits, you're going to get the old results. You know, and that's the thing with weight loss. You know, it's very easy to lose weight. There's nothing to it. There are many, many programs that help people lose weight. Keeping it off is the challenge, and that's where education becomes a major, major player. And you'll see all kinds of things, from shakes to drinks to drops to you name it. There's all these things that are out there that help you lose the weight. But it's the education and the understanding that, okay, once I get this off, how do I keep it off? But at the same time, I want you to live your life. You have to be able to have pizza if you want it occasionally. You have to be able to have a glass of wine and not be scared to death that you're going to gain weight. You can't go changing your entire life radically because you'll never stick to it. It has to be something that's doable for you, and that's really where you and I think it's where we specialize. You know, we focus on that. But again, it goes back to that concept of just restoring normal function. We teach you, what was your body ready to do? What does it want to do? And if you overdo it, this is what's going to happen. If you keep it in its range, it'll do fine. But the yo-yo dieting is a train wreck waiting to happen. You're going to aggravate the GI system. You're going to slow your metabolism, which is going to lead to more weight gain down the road. There's all these things that happen. So you want to kind of avoid it if you can. But if you go back up, guess what? It's got to come off. So even if you're yo-yoing in this, you're better off trying to get it off than leaving it on. So it's just about doing it the right way. I hope that helps.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's take one last break here before we kick out for today. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. Listen to House Call.
When I became of age, my mother called me to her side. She said, son, you're growing up now. Pretty soon you'll take a bride. And then she said, just because you become a young man now, there's still some things that you don't understand now. Before you ask some girl for a hand now.
All right, guys, welcome back here to House Call. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. Our phone number again is 529-1450. We're going to be closing out the show here. We got a short little run. Doc, a couple things that was interesting that I was reading about this week. Did you see the fluoride thing?
I did not.
Oh, you're going to love this one. The U.S. is now recommending to decrease the amount of fluoride that we're putting in water, toothpaste, and mouthwashes.
What?
Isn't this nice? For the first time in over 50 years, it came out of, it's also a Wall Street Journal article this morning. First time in 50 years, they're lowering the levels. They're claiming that it softens teeth and creates splotches called fluorosis, which we've known about. Now, I've been talking about this for a decade and a half, and it's interesting how fluoride became this big thing. If you ever look at the old Norman Rockwell Post, there's a magazine in about 1955, 56. It was a great fluoride debate. It started then. They ran it through in 1962 and made it a kind of a thing. It's in all your water and telling you, it's going to be great for your teeth and blah, 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 blah. So we go through this. I've done a lot of research on this. And I'm looking, okay, what are the actual benefits? There was a great, great study that came out 2-3 years ago that was showing that when you go to your dentist office and they do the fluoride treatment, that thickness was 78 hundredths of a nanometer thick, which means the second you literally bite those teeth together, the first time, it's gone. So now all you're doing is swallowing it. So then it comes down to saying, okay, if it's not protecting the tooth, what is it doing? Now the CDC is coming out and saying, look, we're gonna back this down. Of course, we don't think that it's not safe and so on. It's just making teeth soft. All right, well, let's look at some of the other side effects just out of curiosity. You know, the big one that comes to mind is that it is 100% proven that when a child of the developing age, 3 to 5 to 7 to 10, that age range, gets too much fluoride, it lowers their IQ, significantly lowers their IQ. You can take a normal functioning child and drop them into a school-aged handicap, a learning disability level. simply from fluoride, simply from excess fluoride. So, we're looking at this and we're thinking to ourselves, we've got all these things going on in society and all this. It's like, well, we're going to lower it because it's softening teeth. And just a little bit of me in the background is sitting there saying, are you really lowering it because of that? Or are you lowering it because you know darn well it lowers IQ, it's affecting birth rates and a whole bunch of other things in our children today, and you're a little concerned that maybe some of our chronic illnesses that we have might have a link to this. Mm-hmm. We're never going to admit that, right? We're just going to, it softens our teeth, we'll pull it out because of that. Either way, they're dropping it down. They're going to go down to the lowest recommended dosage because of excess fluoridation. So a little food for thought there, something to think about. It makes you wonder sometimes, gosh.
Kind of like our little cholesterol thing we had a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like lambs to the slaughter, don't you? I mean, it's just, hey, but on the good news here, the FDA just recently okayed a new shot that you can put into your double chin if you happen to have one. It'll be several $100s. You can receive up to 6 shots, I guess, at a time over a 6-month period. It's going to cause the fat cells to rupture in the area and break. And I thought that was kind of interesting. We have a microcurrent that does that. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of unique and different. But it was, you can do these injections and it'll dissolve the fat cell out of the way. Of course, they're saying that they're concerned that there might be an off-market use for it elsewhere other than the chin.
I was gonna
say. What do you do, man? What do you do? So it's interesting, and it's something that's kind of fun. This is why we do a radio show. It is to give you just a different spin on things. You don't have to believe us. I hope you don't believe us. I'd love for you to go and look it up yourself. And it just gets you, I hope, if nothing else, it gets you curious. Start looking into things. Start saying, maybe I should read about this a little bit. Maybe I should go learn something about this. And then make an educated decision and a choice. And that's really why we do the show. The gentleman that called in with the arthritis and the thumb and all, there's so much you can do for that in a very natural, holistic way. That's a whole lot better than having a carpal bone removed. So it's that simple. Guys, I hope you had a great time listening to us. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. Our show here is called House Call. I want to thank our sponsors, Apple Barns, Belterra Farms, Racing Baja, and the Body Quest store over on Montvale. Remember, guys, if you don't expect a miracle, they tend not to happen. Bye-bye.
But I really must say, good night, sweetheart. Good night. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time.